Vaccine mandates have become extremely controversial during the election, as you know. In the building behind me, which you know really well, there's now a mandate that all MPs have to be vaccinated. This has been a difficult issue for Conservative Leader Erin O'Toole. He doesn't like that they've been forced to do it, but he's going to abide by it. They've been flipping and flopping back and forth. I just want to know, if you were the leader, given the situation, if you were a Conservative leader, would you say all my MPs have got to be vaccinated, end of story? Is that, what would you do in that situation?
Well, of course. That's leadership. That's why I was there. That's why the leaders are there. I mean, who am I to argue with tens of thousands of brilliant scientists and doctors who urge the population desperately to get vaccinated? And we're going to have some members of my caucus, for example, who are going to say, I'm not going to do it. They have to do it. Look, Mr. O'Toole has a difficult challenge because of some of the components of his caucus, and I respect that. And I respect what he's done to try and deal with it. But I've encountered situations like that when I was a leader of the party and prime minister. You know, for example, there were two members of parliament who wouldn't support the GST. Right. Out they went. There are others who wouldn't support language issues. Out they went. And so I think that the answer to your question, the simple answer, is, look, you're not the leader to follow. You're the leader to lead. And if you think this is in the national interest, Canada's interest, you get your members of parliament in line, and they have to support what you're doing.
And you've been an advisor to him. I know you supported him, but is that one of those things you think it's hurting him because no one can figure out his position? I support it, I don't support it, testings is good. Your advice to Mr. O'Toole would be, you want to be a leader, you support vaccines. If your members aren't vaccinated, do what I did, boot them out. Is that your advice?
This is a no-brainer. That's, of course, what you have to do. We can't have the example of members of the Conservative caucus defying not only their leadership, but defying the reality of science-based knowledge and recommendations from around the world. And by the way, the policy is working. And so, no, I think that this is something that is a natural for a leader.
Why did the Conservatives lose this election?
I think they were doing very well for the first couple of weeks, and then they lost momentum simply because I think Mr. Trudeau quite brilliantly poked holes in the Conservative positions on exactly what you and I are talking about. Vaccines and the health care and the problems that were going on in Alberta at the time. This played a major role in the subsequent defeat of the Conservative Party.
There is a crisis in Conservative politics. You saw what happened in the United States and Donald Trump. There's a version, a populist version of conservatism. You see it in Europe. There's a version that Erin O'Toole is trying to yank back. He said, I'm transforming the Conservative Party. It's not your father's Conservative Party. What is the Conservative Party, and what does it need to be relevant? Does it need to be the progressive Conservative Party of Brian Mulroney? What does it need to be?
It doesn't need to be the progressive Conservative Party of Brian Mulroney, although, as I remember, Brian Mulroney did pretty well in 2 general elections as a progressive Conservative, winning the largest victory in Canadian history. And with his second one, he was the first Conservative leader since Sir John A. Macdonald to win back-to-back majorities in 100 years. So that's not so bad as a result. But I think that the party itself, Sir John A. himself said, the Conservatives must be a progressive Conservative party. And what Sir John was saying by that is you have to be reasonable and thoughtful and appeal to the broad middle class of Canada. For example, on the environment, Canadians, middle-class Canadians are doing fairly well. They don't need little tax cuts for hockey sticks and that kind of stuff to appeal to them. They, for example, in that case, in my judgment, need and require a policy to ensure that they are able to pass on to their children and grandchildren a pristine environment. That's what they love. That's what they need. That's Canada. If you don't have a policy that reflects that urge in Canadians, that demand, that need on the environment, you're not going to win. And so the party has to adjust itself, unless it wants to lose a couple of more elections. They have to adjust to the reality that they have to have a broad-based party that appeals to Canadians. Otherwise, they're going to lose.
Mr. Mulroney, you are well known for the largest land claim settlement in history, the creation of Nunavut, as you've spoken about. But as you also know that even during your time, as everyone's now talking about Indigenous reconciliation, the discovery of unmarked graves at residential institutions, there were still residential institutions when you were Prime Minister. And you know, I spoke to Mr. Chrétien about this last week. He said he didn't know about the abuses. Did you know about the abuses? Do you regret not shutting down those institutions during your time as Prime Minister?
Well, no, we didn't really know that much about it at the time. But one of the reasons why I appointed the Royal Commission on Aboriginal Affairs, led by George Erasmus and Mr. Justice René Dussault, who produced a report, I appointed that in 1991, they reported in 1996, and that is the solution. They articulated the solution to the challenge Canada faces in dealing for justice with our Aboriginal people, which has to be resolved before anything else can be moved. And the answers are there in the Royal Commission report. And they've been neglected by subsequent governments since 1996 with very little happening. But the solution is there. A government just has to sit down and read that Royal Commission report and say, hey, I'm going to implement most of this and I'm going to do it on a priority basis. That's the answer.
Again, you know, I speak to elders and community leaders. They will say governments like yours, Mr. Chrétien's and others, all knew about the abuses, and they should apologize for their role in what they call a cultural genocide. What's your response?
Mr. Chrétien was Minister of Indian and Northern Affairs for 6 years. According to the media, lots of reports were made to him or to his department about this, and nothing was done. We had no such experience in our time in office. But of course, if there were a national apology were required in Parliament, I would certainly endorse that. Of course, we have to treat people fairly. You know, there's nothing wrong with offering a sincere apology accompanied by the appropriate compensation. And I would be honored to join in with others if that were the conclusion of the Government of Canada.
Brian Mulroney, always a pleasure to have you on the program, sir. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Evan.